जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 16, Text 25. धरणी uvāca bhavān hi veda tatsarvaṁ yanmam dharmān anupṛcchasi caturbhir vartase yena pādair loka-sukhāvahaiḥ। धरणी उवाच भवान् हि वेद तत्सर्वं यन्मां धर्मान् अनुपृच्छसि चतुर्भिर्वर्तसे येना pādair loka-sukhāvahaiḥ। भवान् हि वेद तत्सर्वं यन्मां धर्मानुपृच्छसि चतुर्भिर्वर्तसे येना pādair loka-sukhāvahaiḥ। Mataji's. Word to word meaning. Dharṇy uvāca. Mother Earth replied, bhavān, your good self, he, certainly, veda, no, tat sarvaṁ, all that you have inquired from me, yat, that, mam, from me, dharma, O personality of religious principles, ānuprcchasi, you have inquired one after another, caturbhir, by four, vartase, you exist, yena, by which, pādair, by the legs, lok, in each and every planet, ख-आवह, increasing the happiness. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The earthly deity in the form of a cow thus replied to the personality of religious principles in the form of a bull, O Dharma, whatever you have inquired from me shall be known to you. I shall try to reply all those questions. Once you too were maintained by your four legs, and you increased happiness all over the universe by the mercy of the Lord. Purport. The principles of religion are laid down by the Lord Himself, and the executor of such laws is Dharmaraj or Yamraj. Such principles work fully in the age of Satyayug. In the Treta Yuga, they are reduced by a fraction of 1/4. In Dwapar Yuga, they are reduced to one half, and in Kali Yuga, they are reduced to 1/4, gradually diminishing to the 0 point, and then devastation takes place. Happiness in the world depends proportionately on the maintenance of the religious principles, individually or collectively. The best part of the valor is to maintain the principles despite all kinds of odds. Thus, one can be happy during the span of life and ultimately return to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om ajnanatimirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschate Deshtarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. First of all, I seek blessings of all devotees, so that I speak Bhagavatam in Parampara for pleasure of Lord, devotees, and for my own purification. So actually this, in this chapter, the conversation between the earthly deity in the form of cow and bull, which represents religious principle, is taking place. The conversation is going on. And here, Dharma, he asks about the precarious situation or miserable situation of Mother Earth in the form of cow. And in this verse, the earthly deity in the form of cow, she is replying. She says that, "O Dharma, whatever you have inquired from me shall be known to you." She is saying that whatever you have inquired, you already know about the reasons. And I shall try to reply, but still I shall try to reply all those questions. Once you too were maintained by your four legs and you increased happiness all over the universe by the mercy of the Lord. So here, earth cow, she also is expressing her sympathy towards Dharma in the form of bull, who is also tortured by the Kali personified. And in the verses ahead, she expresses the reason, the ultimate reason is the disappearance of the Lord from this planet. And in the next verse itself, series of verses from 26 to 30, actually all the qualities which reside in the Lord are mentioned. And now how in this age of Kali, all the bad qualities will be seen or are to be seen. So main reason for the situation of the earth is disappearance of the Lord and subsequently all the inauspicious qualities present in the Kali Yuga. So in the next verse, I will just read that these qualities are mentioned, all the qualities. They reside in the Lord. And that the personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all goodness and beauty, Lord Sri Krishna has now closed his transcendental pastimes on the face of earth. In his absence, the age of Kali has spread its influence everywhere. So I am sorry to see this condition of the existence. So Mother Earth is feeling sorry for the all the living beings present on this earth due to absence of Lord, and thus beginning the inauspiciousness of Kali Yuga. So in this Yuga, actually there are four. Prabhupada in the purport, he mentions that in the four ages, these four principles, they reduce one by one, and in this Kali Yuga, only one leg of religion is remaining, and that is truthfulness. And I was hearing in one of the lectures that this truthfulness, it refers to presence of scriptures. Now, because many times we see that in our day-to-day dealings, many times we are not truthful. So in spite of that, quality is not there. Even though that quality is not there, it is said that truthfulness is there in Kali Yuga. So that refers to the presence of scriptures by utilizing which we can perfect our life. And Prabhupada also mentions that happiness in the world depends proportionately on the maintenance of religious principles, individually or collectively. So actually, I was just thinking, for a devotee who is practicing sadhana bhakti, how this for him, what are the religious principles actually? For a devotee who is practicing, who has come to the path of sadhana bhakti by the mercy of Prabhupada, for him, practicing bhakti, practicing the sadhana bhakti, the limbs of bhakti, especially chanting the holy names of the Lord, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, serving Vaishnavas, following the instructions of spiritual master, and preaching this science of Krishna consciousness. All these things are important. For him, that is the religious principle. For him, the other principles are not very much important. For him, daily chanting the 16 rounds, every day hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, every day try to serve the mission of Prabhupada in whatever way he expects, by preaching or by helping in the mission directly or indirectly. So all these things are important for a devotee, and other religious principles are more or less not very much important. And this line is also very important. The best part of the valor is to maintain the principles despite all kinds of odds. So referring to this understanding of religious principle, the principle of chanting, hearing Bhagavatam, serving Vaishnavas. So a devotee, a practicing devotee, he has to maintain these principles despite all kinds of odds. So the best part of valor is parakram. The best part of parakram is to maintain the principles despite all kinds of odds. So we may be facing a lot of difficulties in our day-to-day life while practicing sadhana bhakti. But we have to maintain all these principles of chanting regularly, 16 rounds, attentively, trying to read, hear Bhagavatam every day. So actually this earthly deity taking the form of cow, actually such incidences are also there in other cantos of Bhagavatam. I was just thinking, in the 4th canto also this episode is there where Prithu Maharaj, King Prithu, who is the incarnation of the Lord, he chases the earthly deity, Mother Earth, and when he was chasing the Mother Earth, she took the form of cow. So there also very valuable instructions are given by Mother Earth as to how people can be benefited by Mother Earth, and she can supply the proper food grains or other necessities required for prosperous and happy living of human beings. Not just human beings, but all the living entities. So she gives very nice instructions how to get most of these facilities properly by all the living beings. So she gives instructions to King Prithu, so I thought I will try to discuss. And also in the 10th canto also, when she was ruled by many non-devotee kings and they were trying to exploit Mother Earth, that time also she took the form of cow and approached Brahma. And then subsequently all the demigods, they approach Vishnu and request him to appear on this earth, and as a result Lord Krishna descends. And in 12th canto also there is a nice chapter in the 12th canto, 3rd chapter is there, the song of Mother Earth or Bhumi Geet, where she gives very nice instructions on the uh, on the she gives very nice instructions to human beings as to how we should utilize this life, not for conquering the land or proving our supremacy, but utilize this for self-realization and perfect our life. So we'll try to just see the instructions which she gives to Prathu Maharaj as to how he can get the resources from the Mother Earth, and thus human society can be prosperous and happy. So this is in the 18th chapter of the 4th canto. Actually, she says that when, as you all know, this particular event, that before King Prathu, the Vena, his father, was ruling, and that time there was no proper following of the religious principles. So that's why Mother Earth, she withdrew all the resources, and she was not giving the food grains and all other facilities required for the maintenance of the living beings. So when Prathu Maharaj, he requested first, she denied that because people, they were not following the religious principles, and all of them, they were atheists or they were non-devotees. But when he started chasing her with the bow and arrow, she took the form of cow, and she started giving very valuable instructions. So the first instruction is, she says, Asmil loke athava musmin munibhis tattvadarshibhi drashta yoga prayuktascha pumsam sreya prasiddhaye. This is in the 18th chapter of 4th canto. This is the 3rd shloka. So there she says, to benefit all human society, not only in this life but in the next, the great seers and sages have prescribed various methods conducive to the prosperity of the people in general. So there she says that actually if one follows the prescribed methods which are given by previous sages, then there is prosperity not just in this life but in next life also. So here in the purport, Prabhupada, he gives very nice purport, this verses, series of verses, he gives very nice purports. So Prabhupada says there that actually first thing is, these so-called scientists and philosophers of this modern age, in this verse it is said that, she says that in the next life also, the word is amusmin. Asmin is in this life and amusmin is next life. So if you follow these instructions which are given by previous sages, you will be prosperous in this as well as next life. So Prabhupada takes this word amusmin in the purport and he explains that actually so-called scholars or professors and so-called learned men, actually they don't believe this concept of next life, he says. And because of which they don't follow the rules and regulations, and thus they suffer miserably. And by following them, others also, they also have to suffer. So Prabhupada, he writes, unfortunately in this age, even exalted professors, learned men believe that there is no next life and that everything is finished in this life. Since they are rascals and fools, what advice can they give? Still, they are passing as learned scholars and professors. It is the duty of everyone to mold his life in such a way that he will have a profitable next life. Just as a boy is educated in order to become happy later, one should be educated in this life in order to attain an eternal and prosperous life after death. It is therefore essential that people follow what is given in the Vedas and make human mission successful. So actually this in modern society, this is very much visible that people, they don't believe in next life actually. Many times when we go for book distribution, people, when we speak, when we explain them about the spirituality, how it is beneficial in this life, in the next life also. Actually, when we speak about next life, they are very much surprised. They say, they many times argue, they debate that how is that you believe in the next life? Who has seen the next life? Many times they argue like this. But actually, even if one believes or not, the fact remains fact actually. And many times, people, because of this modern advancement or whatever education, modern education, they have this subtle understanding that there is no next life. We can live the way we want. But by not following, they have to suffer. So here, Mother Earth, she is saying that we have to follow the previous sages and we have to follow their instructions, and thus we can live prosperous life in this life as well as next. And next instruction she gives that one who follows the principles and instructions enjoined by the great sages of the past can utilize these instructions for practical purposes. Such a person can very easily enjoy life and pleasures. So these instructions are very much practical in our day-to-day life. They are not very much theoretical as to how we should live the life, how we interact with the world outside, and thus we can be satisfied, peaceful. So here, this verse, this is the next verse, the Prabhupada, he writes in the purport that actually the whole concept of Vedic principles is to follow the Mahajanas, the previous Acharyas, Mahajano yena gata sapantha. So whole Vedic principles, they urge us to follow in the footsteps of previous liberated souls. And then one may question, what is the benefit? Actually, the first benefit is we can very easily understand the aim of life. Otherwise, when we don't follow, when we don't hear the instructions, there is a lot of confusion about the aim of life. And when there is no clarity about the aim of life, we are all confused. So, Prabhupada, in the purport, he mentions about the different political parties. He says, actually, everyone is abodhajata, born a fool and rascal in this current day and age. In democratic government at the present moment, all kinds of fools and rascals are making decisions. But what can they do? What is the result of their legislation? They enact something today just to whimsically repeat it tomorrow. One political party utilizes a country for one purpose, and the next moment another political party forms a different type of government and nullifies all the laws and regulations. This process of chewing the chewed will never make human society happy. In order to make all human society happy and prosperous, we should accept the standard methods given by liberated persons. And as we all know, what is the standard method for this Kali Yuga is Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, and Kirtan, doing Kirtan. So this is very much important for us to understand the process, the important process of Sankirtan, which can make society happy. The next verse, she says, the Mother Earth, she says that Tan anadratya yo vidvan arthan arabate swayam tasya vyabhi charanti artha arabhascha puna puna. So, a foolish person who manufactures his own ways and means through mental speculation and does not recognize the authority of sages who lay down unimpeachable directions is simply unsuccessful again and again in his attempts. So if one does not follow these ways of previous acharyas, the instructions of previous acharyas, and manufactures his own ways out of mental speculation of becoming happy, living prosperous, happy life, then he is simply unsuccessful again and again in his attempts. And we can see, actually, the modern society, they try to find a solution to a problem, but that leads to another problem. Radhanath Maharaj, he gives this famous example of this plague in Europe or Britain somewhere. Actually, they found that there was one particular cause for the plague, then that led to some another problem, that led to another problem. So in the modern scenario also, actually, we can see that they say, now this is the solution, but actually that solution is again a big problem. Just like somebody was sharing about this electric vehicles. Actually, the amount of pollution created by that battery or other things, actually that is even more compared to the petrol and diesel vehicle, actually they were saying. And the greatest problem is the disposal of the battery, actually, how to dispose that. And even this, I think Prabhuji was sharing that windmill, actually it is the renewable source of energy, they say. But the amount of energy required to just construct, design, maintain is more than compared to the other sources of energy, actually. So this we can see, and this leads to more and more problems. And if we don't understand the simple truths of the scriptures given by Lord Krishna, actually we are bound to suffer. And the whole modern society, actually we can see, the more they don't follow these instructions, the more they have to suffer, actually, individually and collectively. So, in this particular Prabhupada actually says that we have to follow not these conditioned souls who have 4 defects, and they try to hide these 4 defects, and they pose themselves as very scholars or liberated persons. But Prabhupada says that this Krishna conscious movement directly receives the instructions from the Supreme personality of Godhead via persons who are strictly following his instructions. So even though one may be a conditioned soul, but if he is following the parampara or the previous acharyas, then he should be considered liberated. Because the entire world is now following the imperfect directions of the conditioned souls, humanity is completely bewildered. In the next verse, she says, actually, my dear king, the seeds, roots, herbs and grains which were created by Lord Brahma in the past are now being used by non-devotees who are devoid of all spiritual understanding. So there she says, actually one of the reasons why she has withdrawn, why she is not giving the resources in the form of food grains and other facilities is because the majority of population, they are not devotees. They are not following the rules and regulations. So this purport, Prabhupada, he gives the definition of a non-devotee. He says, actually one who is not following the laws of the God, or if one is not a devotee, then he is a thief or non-devotee. Everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and everything can be used for his satisfactions. Things should not be used for sense gratification of the living entities. This is the whole plan of material nature according to directions of material nature. So actually this material world is created by the Lord for giving chance to living beings to go back home, back to Godhead. So along with that, all the facilities are given for better living here, for living in a better way, nice way here. It is not that Lord, he wants us to suffer. He also gives facilities, along with the chance, he also gives the facilities. But all these facilities, we have to use it in the service of Krishna. So whatever facilities, just like the Bhagavad Gita, it says, Krishna says, yajñārthat karma. So whatever you do it for the satisfaction of Krishna. Yajna is Vishnu. So if we have to eat, first Krishna says, you offer it to me. And then you can enjoy yourself. So we can enjoy all the facilities. It is not wrong in enjoying, but the important thing is we have to first satisfy, give enjoyment to Krishna. Then we can be happy. Otherwise, if we just try to satisfy our own senses, then we can never be happy and we are liable to punish. Just a simple act of eating, it may seem very simple, but if we don't eat without offering it to Krishna, then we will have to be, then we will have to suffer actually. So in the one of the purports ahead, the next purport only, Prabhupada says, a huge arrangement exists for the production of large-scale industrial and agricultural products. But all these products are meant for sense gratification. Therefore, despite such productive capacities, there is scarcity because the world's population is full of thieves. According to Vedic understanding, men are transformed into thieves when they plan economic development for sense gratification. According to Vedic understanding, men are transformed into thieves when they plan economic development for sense gratification. And we can see actually whatever economic development is there, the whole plan is for sense gratification, not for the gratification of the Lord. And Prabhupada mentions about this yajna arthat karma. So according to spiritual communism, all the properties on the surface of globe belongs to Supreme Personality of Godhead. The population has a right to use goods only after offering them to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the process of accepting prasad. So the Prabhupada also is mentioning the whole point is whatever facilities are given, we can use them, but we have to offer them first to Lord and then accept them as a prasad or mercy of the Lord. And so Mother Earth, she gives very nice instructions ahead also, but I just want to mention one thing. In the 12th canto also she mentions about the futility of the different kings who came, who tried to rule the earth, who tried to possess some part of the earth. But she mentions now they are all just names. They tried to conquer me, they tried to prove their supremacy. But if one is a devotee, then unless one is a devotee, or unless one follows the instructions of the Shastras, scriptures, and utilize the human life for self-realization, it is not useful, the human life. Otherwise, it is just a waste of time. Actually, the very nice verse he says actually in the end of this episode, the prayers. The last prayer is very important and very nice, and that is in one way the instructions to all of us as to how we can come out of the suffering situation. It is very nice slok. Yastuttam shloka gunanuvada sangiyate bhikshnam amangalagna tameva nityam shranuyada bhikshnam krishne malam bhaktim abhipsamanaha. So she says that the person who desires pure devotional service to Lord Krishna should hear the narrations of Lord Uttam Shloka's glorious qualities, the constant chanting of which destroys everything inauspicious. So these effects of the inauspicious effects of Kali Yuga can be destroyed when we constantly hear the narrations of Lord Krishna. The devotee should engage in such listening in regular daily assemblies and should also continue his hearing throughout the day. So she is saying, the Mother Earth, she says that if one wishes to get rid of the inauspicious qualities of Kali Yuga, one has to constantly hear, not just constantly, regularly and constantly throughout the day. And in second chapter of first canto also this shloka is there. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adoksaje ahetuki apratiyata ye atma suprasadite. So savai pumsa, that is the highest dharma for pumsam, that for the human being, by which one can develop the bhakti, which has these two characteristics, ahetuki and apratiyata. So that dharma is sadhana bhakti, which we practice. So if we practice in spite of the degradation of Kali Yuga, we can remain aloof and we can perfect our life by the mercy of Prabhupada and Vaishnavas. So I will stop here. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.